Hello, friends. It is Denise from Loving Life at 60ish. And today it is Friday. It's actually still Friday morning here. And so good morning. But by the time that gets posted, it won't be morning anymore. So good afternoon also, or good evening, or whenever you're watching it. So it's Friday, and Fridays on my channel are for scrapbooking, card making, journaling, basically paper craft type things. And so the other day in one of my videos, I was telling you about my journey through the artist way last year, and that I'm going to be starting a new journey with another book of hers. So I thought I would come on, and I think this is going to end up being a two-part video. So, or otherwise it's going to be really long, I think. So we'll just get started and then we'll see what happens. For those of you who don't know, the Artist Way has been around for, years and years and years. I remember getting it at the bookstore probably in the early 90s and reading some of it, but not really doing anything with it. It just wasn't where I was at in my life. And then last year I was sorting and cleaning and decluttering, and I am a bookaholic, and I worked in a bookstore up until COVID hit. So I have a lot of books, and I found my copy of The Artist Way. However, it was out in our garage and it had gotten wet and the pages were stuck together. But I did a little looking around on YouTube and found some different channels where they had talked about the Artist Way. Julia Cameron was on several different interviews about the Artist Way. And I stumbled upon a woman. I'll try to link her below, but her channel is called Authenticity. And she had done the Artist Way, and she had created a bullet journal to go with it. And I have never done a bullet journal before in my life until this. And it is not, I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I love journaling. I love my planners. I generally use a happy planner, although I also have a passion planner this year for my work. And I like that it's all spelled out for me, and then I can just decorate and go, put things in. And with a bullet journal, it's empty pages and you've got to do something with them. So it was a little bit of a struggle for me. It was definitely a learning curve. I'm moving a chair out of my way if you hear anything fall. I'm in my workroom, and as I told you, there is no moving around this room at all. So anyway, I decided to embark on the Artist Way, and it is 12 lessons. And you'll see some, I've done highlighting, and in some not highlighting. I've done, I still have a few little post-it notes in it, although I've taken most of them out. But I left some in because there were some tasks that I was still working on, and I haven't pulled them out since I finished all the tasks. So basically, it's broken up into 12 weeks. Each week is called some type of recovery. Week 1 was recovering a sense of safety. And then it just, there's some reading that goes with it. And then there's some, usually some questions, different tasks to go with it. There's quotes on the pages. Let's see. This first one was talking a lot about affirmations. It gave you a list of affirmations. There's another task. This was the list of tasks for the week. So 1 through, there were quite a few that week. 1 through 10. She also, to her, it's important that you do an artist date every week. And that's to take 1 to 2 hours and do something by yourself. No spouses, no kids, no nothing. And of course, her take on it back when she wrote this was you go somewhere. You go to a museum, you go to an art exhibit, you, I don't know, go shopping for gardening things or flowers, or go to a bookstore and you know, browse. So you spend an hour or so doing something that you want to do, or you think you want to do, and but have no one with you. So of course, when COVID hit, it was a little harder to get out and do an artist date. We were pretty much beyond that issue when I started this, but I did find that some of my favorite artist dates were ones that I had at home, where I had planned to have the afternoon or the evening or whatever to myself, whether it be to go out and play in the garden, or, you know, a couple of times it was to work on a art project, a scrapbooking project. And so, you know, your artist date is whatever feels right to you. But she asks you to take one every week. And then the other key thing, beyond the artist date, which the most important thing she feels is morning pages. So morning pages, she basically says, are, let me see if I can find it. I might have written it in here. Might be easier. Three pages of longhand journaling, stream of consciousness, not negotiable. So every day you would do morning pages. And my morning pages took me a while in the mornings at first. I am a journaler, so, you know, it's not new to me, but it had been a while since I'd really put my words down on paper. So it took me a while. Now my morning pages take me usually less than a half hour, because it's fast writing. It's not neat. It's not, you know, precise. It's not really thinking it through. It's just writing about things. Like this morning I wrote about a porta potty. Now, don't get me started. All right. Well, tomorrow is my mother-in-law's graveside service. And then we're having her celebration of life at my son's house, because my son owns her house and the house that my husband and all his siblings grew up in. And so my husband has decided that we need a porta potty there for all the people coming. Probably a good idea. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But it wasn't the thing that I wanted to be thinking about first thing in the morning. So my morning pages this morning were definitely about that. So I just want to show you a couple of things. This is the date that I started this journey of the Artist Way was August 15th. And I started my morning pages in July last year just to get started with them. And starting with August 15th, I never missed another morning page through the whole program. Now, it took me longer than 12 weeks. I started it in August, and I finished it at the end of November. There were so many variables. There was 2 weeks of crazy busy time in my life for my business, my All Dressed Up Couture business. So in October, there was no time. So I continued with my morning pages, but I didn't work on the lessons. And then I got COVID, and in November I went to Disney. And so there was some weeks where things were sort of out of whack, and the lessons just weren't working for me to give the full what I really wanted to do for them. So it did take me longer than 12 weeks, and it was okay. I'm a perfectionist, and at first that was really bothering me. And then I thought, who's going to call me out on it? Just myself, and she's talking about being gentle with yourself and being kind. And I'm like, well, you need to finish this in 12 weeks. And, but was the Artist Way cop going to come and arrest me if I didn't? I mean, it was sort of a ridiculous thought process. So so it took me a while. And these are my morning pages since last July. I just buy these composition notebooks, and I just fill them up. She suggests getting rid of them, and I will. I've gone through the first two and taken some notes of things that I wanted to remember, or creative ideas that I came up with during it. And then I still have a few Post-it notes in here, trying to, remember, in some folded down pages where I want to take notes. And this is my newer one. It's just a plain. So I try to find real pretty ones, or something with, a saying on it. I have a cute giraffe one I really want to use, but I got to use this one up first. So those are my morning pages, and I will get rid of, because again, it's a stream of consciousness, and it's not always kind stuff that I have written, or it's definitely not stuff, if I were to die tomorrow, that I would necessarily want my family reading, and I mean, it's nothing bad, but it just is coming out of my head without processing it, without thinking about what I'm saying first. So, I'm angry at one of my kids, which doesn't happen very often. Actually, anger is a strong word. They're all grown up and we get along really well, which is nice, but they irritate me like I irritate them. So, I might write about it, and in the scheme of things, it didn't matter, but I just needed to get it out. So they will be gone. I'm just not quite ready yet. And I do have a few pages left to finish in this Artist Way bullet journal before I decide to give it up also. So this was just one of these. This one is for my next one. I got it on Amazon. It's the dotted notebook. The only problem I have with it, because I have such bad eyesight, it was hard for me to see the dots. Now, in my workroom, I can see them really well, but I'd work, out in my living room, and so it was hard to see. The only other thing I got were stickers, floral stickers, and I used them throughout the book just to add a little bit to it. I also used washi tape and stickers I had. And I used Zig writers and my really nice, I don't have it here. I use these pens a lot in it. I just like these. And then I used another black pen. I'll try to link it down below. Not link it, but at least tell you the name of it. So I followed along with the woman that was doing the bullet journal online. Now, she had done it years ago, so she wasn't doing it while I was, but it was really helpful to see what she did and how she did things. Hers was a lot different. She really themed out her weeks, you know, with different themes, robots, and I don't know, Pac-Man maybe or something, but things like that. But I didn't do that. I sort of stayed with the floral theme. And so one of the quotes in there was, "Every blade of grass has its angel that bends over it and whispers, grow, grow." And I will go through these pretty slowly. That's why I said I might do this in 2 parts. We'll see. These are the chapters, the 12 weeks, recovering a sense of safety, identity, power, integrity, possibility, abundance, connection, strength, compassion, self-protection, autonomy, and faith. I will tell you, I got an incredible amount out of doing this. This is her basic principles. They're in the book. And then this is the contract that's in the book that, you know, talks about committing to morning pages daily, a weekly artist date, and fulfillment of weekly tasks. She suggests a certain amount of task to get, percentage of the task to get done, but you'll see that I mostly did them. I, you know, was pretty focused on this. Focus was my word last year, so that was helpful. And I set up some 12-week goals. Read a chapter in the Artist Way weekly. I did it every Sunday. Complete morning pages every day. Go on an artist date every week for approximately 2 hours. Complete at least 50% of the weekly task and maintain my focus on self-care. I did really well on those goals. I have a tendency to set goals and they don't go anywhere. You know, I set them and I don't do them. So I was pretty impressed. Oh, I guess I was going to zoom it in a little bit, but I think that's too far. She talks about synchronicity, and to stop telling yourself it's too late. Stop waiting until you make enough money. Stop telling yourself it's just my ego whenever you yearn for a more creative life. Stop telling yourself that dreams don't matter. Stop fearing that your family and friends would think you were crazy. And stop telling yourself that creativity is a luxury and that you should be grateful for what you have. Instead, take your creative potential seriously. And, you know, I think those things were really key for me. What I was struggling with was, for a long time, even before COVID, someone would say, well, what's your goal in 5 years? Where would you like to be? And for the first time in many years, I did not have a vision of where I want to be in 5 years. And that started when I turned 50. And, you know, my son was graduating from high school. He was going to college. My daughter was having a baby. And I just, I couldn't envision where I would be in 5 years. And I was stuck in that for all these years, and now I'm 60. And last year I finally had a breakthrough from doing this and and saw some, where I want to be, where I want to be. I started with, where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in a year? If COVID taught us anything, it was that you don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, we should know that anyway, but I think it really hit home to us. So this was a tracker for the morning pages, and you'll see that I missed one morning page. And then the tracker for the artist dates. It was supposed to be quality time by myself, 2 hours of creative play, weekly practice of filling my cup. And I did all of them. One week I missed and ended up doing it. I don't know why it says Tuesday. I really ended up doing it on Monday. The plan was to do it on Sunday, and something happened, and so I did it on Monday. I had artist date ideas, go to the beach, spend time in a bookstore, scrapbook, garden, Surrey Gardens, which is where I like to go and look at all the pretty flowers and buy. Enjoy an entire day of going to gardening places. Go through all my clothes. I didn't do that. Bottle up herbs, work on my herbalist program, put together a Disney planner, finish the garden work, do a UFO project, unfinished project, plan my scrapbook room, plan the guest room, work, play in Christmas holiday planner. I actually did that. Walk through craft stores. And then each week, the opening page of the week, let's see, this would be week 7. Over here is just a synopsis of what the week is going to be about. And so I went ahead and wrote those out, because I find writing things makes me remember them more. I've kind of always been that way. So I went through the whole 12 weeks and wrote that out. And then I started with week 1, and I always had a quote from the week here, and then the title of the week on this page. Week 1 was, really talking about, basically it was a lot about affirmations and the unkind things we say to ourselves, the giving ourselves the encouragement to do creative things. So these were the tasks that needed to be done that week. And I did most of the tasks in here. The morning pages, I did those, not in here, in the other books. The only thing I didn't do was write a letter to the editor in your defense. And that was just a letter. You're not going to send it to anyone, but in your defense of, because she talks a lot about who squashed your creativity, who made you feel less than about what you could or couldn't do. One of the things that she suggests occasionally was to take your artist for a walk, a brisk 20-minute walk. And in the new book that I'm using, that's a requirement, 2 20-minute walks a week. She asks who your major influences in 10-year increments are. So 0 to 10 years, my dependence was my parents, and 5 to 10 years, it was my teachers, my parents, and my siblings, and on and on. And in 51 to 60 years, freedom was the word that kind of stuck. I had an empty nest. Christay, who's my best friend, Ruby, and a friend of mine, Lisa, were pretty influential in my 51 to 60-year-old age. In self-indulging, me, therapy, gardening, taking care of me. And so like 31 to 40 years, it was keeping my head above water. I mean, frankly, I had 2 kids that I was young kids, babies, and a husband who worked all the time. And so it was a lot. And so, yeah, it just talks about who your major influences were through those years. Then she asks you to come up with affirmations about your creativity. And she gives you some examples too that you can use. But I came up with most of these myself. Shakti Gaiwan says an affirmation is a strong positive statement that something is already so. So these were my affirmations. Like, for instance, I am an amazing and talented seamstress and designer. So then she asks you to write that, and then write blurts, which are things that come into your head immediately when you say something like that. A tutu dress isn't a real design. You might be if you watched, if you wasn't so lazy. You don't sew your designs. You aren't a real seamstress. And so, these nasty things that you say to yourself, when you or someone says something kind to you, in your head, you're going, oh yeah, well, that's not, and then she asked you to take those things and create some more affirmations with it. So every day she had you do that same process. So this was Monday. This was Tuesday. This was Wednesday. I believe in my ability to create meaningful work. I mean, one of my blurts was tutus don't pay the bills. But it does. I mean, when I'm busy, it does pay the bills. So, and then it just says, like the affirmation I came with out of that was, my creative work pays for all the extras we need and want. So it just went on. That's Thursday and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I have a clear vision of where my creativity is taking me. I did not when I started this. I did not when I ended it either. It took a few more months. Well, it took until this January to really hone in on where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. She talks about the champions and the enemies of your creative self-worth. And I had a lot of champions. I had enemies. It was hard to write about because, like, my Bampy said to me that I needed to go to school to be a secretary, that dance was not going to pay the bills and I needed something to fall back on. And I hated to write that he was an enemy of my creativity because he was my hero. And he still is. But, it was people saying those things. My very influential dance instructor in high school told me that though I was probably good enough to be a rockette, I didn't have the body to be a rockette. I was too short. And, my legs weren't long enough. And so she really squashed my creativity back then. And then she talks about the happy encouragement you get. I talked about my mom and dad having a really tough time when we were younger. They both had their own kind of, I said demons, but hard things that they were dealing with. But they always got me to dance class from age 7 all the way through college. And then they always showed up for my dance recitals when I graduated from college and had my own dance studio. they were just there. They were always my champions. And then the horror story was my guidance counselor just telling me, yeah, dance is, it's not worthy of an education. You can get a free ride at the university because of your grades, and you're, choosing to throw that away, sort of thing. She several times in the book, in the weeks, she asks you what 5 other lives, imaginary lives you might have would be. And this time I had written ballet dancer, musical theater actress, beachcomber, scrapbook guru, master gardener, because those were things that I was doing at that point. And then at the end of every week, I did a check-in. I talked about how my morning pages went, how my artist date went, what I thought about some of the task, the struggles I might have during the week. And I did write, overall, week 1 was a success. I worry about starting this and not completing it, but I feel like I'm on the right path. And I did complete it, which I don't always complete projects. And then this is just another quote from the book. And then we're on to week 2. So, and it's like that. This is the key concepts from the chapter. These are the tasks that she asks you to do. And these are the tasks that I did. 20 things I enjoy doing. And then she asks you to put how long ago did you do it? So like dancing, a while. But gardening, I'd done it, just a couple of days before. Topics to protect. These are topics to protect from the crazy makers and the poisonous playmates, the naysayers. That's what she calls them. And these are things that I don't talk to too many people about. Although I have started spending more time talking about my personal projects, my work projects and goals, I still sort of keep pretty tight to myself. I don't talk about my weight loss and health and exercise to too many people because I'm afraid of failing. My finances, I don't talk about those a lot, although these savings challenges that I do are helping. My marriage and family, I have a select few I talk about my marriage with, and then personal relationships. Topics to protect. Then, in this chapter, we talked about where my time goes. This chapter was called, I'm sure you saw it, Week 2, Recovering a Sense of Identity. So this talks about where my time goes, 5 major activities that I did this week, watching TV, YouTube, business coaching, Project Runway, food and prep and groceries, work, thinking about it, worrying about it, discouraged by it, doing it. I think I got as far as discouraged by it. Family and friends, my wants were to spend time with Christay and Eli and our Sunday family dinner. And then the artist way was I spent time doing morning pages, artist date, and the bullet journal. This was my life pie at that time, and it was sort of just where you felt you were at in these subjects. And I did say I left out belonging, which would be high, I think. I feel like I have a good circle of family and friends. I left out finances, which would be just about the same as partner. So way down here, that was my the hardest thing in my life at that point last year. 10 tiny changes that you could do, and I put a smiley face beside the ones that I was able to do. during that time frame. Find someone to build my deck. I found someone, I lost that person. I found another person, I lost that person. I thought I had someone a few months ago all lined up, and now he is ghosting me. So I still don't have someone to build my deck yet. Get a plant stand for the bathroom. Teach the dogs to walk on a leash. That's I'm finding very impossible. Carve out time to scrapbook. Figure out a workable schedule. Still haven't figured that out. Clean up more of the house. Pick out wall colors for the guest room. Design my scrapbook craft room. Love my work again. Find a way to clean animal hair off the couch. If anyone has a good idea for that, please let me know. It has been a struggle for many, many years. And then she asks you 5 more lives that you, imaginary lives that you could see yourself leading. And I did choreographer. I used to be a choreographer. Fashion designer. I am a fashion designer. I was going to say I sort of am, but I am for children. Yoga instructor. Beach house owner. Oh, I would love that. King Charles Cavalier owner with a full house of them, or with a house full of them. We have 2, and that's a pretty full house some days. And then this was week 2 check-in. And I added some quotes. And these are quotes here. And I checked in on, the things that she asked you to check in on. This was the rules of the road. In order to be an artist, I must show up to the page, use the page to rest, dream, to try. She's talking about morning pages. There's 10 rules of the road. I did say here, every day I found I was coming up with ideas for my business this week. I continue to feel good about these pages. I came up with the idea to do a 10-piece collection around my garden flower fairies. Garden fairies, all based on my favorite flowers. Release the collection in the spring. That's still on paper. It hasn't happened, but I am finding that I am enjoying harvesting and drying herbs again. Just like I loved doing when the kids were babies, rediscovering my love of gardening. So, in my check-in, I was feeling pretty positive about things. So, and then we came to week 3, and I'm going to end here, and I'm going to do another video, and I'll post them at the same time as a part 1 and a part 2, so that if you want to sit and watch from week 3 to week 12, then, here's my little girl, then, you can do that all in one sitting, or you can do it in separate sittings. But we're close to 40 minutes, and I don't like to go much over that. And this is going to, probably take another 20 or so. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out this long. Tell me what you think. Have you ever done The Artist Way? Did you ever read the book? Is it something you're interested in? It's a good challenge. I do want to reiterate that several times, and a meaningful one, and not real time consuming, honestly. I mean, the morning pages every morning, an artist date once a week, and you can call just about anything an artist date. One day I said, I'm going to take 3 hours and I'm going to go through this house and I'm going to clean it up. And I'm going to set my timer for I think I did every 45 minutes, and take a 15-minute break and do whatever I want for 15 minutes. And it was one of my best artist dates I had. Turned the music up and just worked on my house. So it's not a huge time commitment. You definitely don't have to do this. This was the most time, the bullet journal. And this is not a requirement at all. You could do the task In fact, I did. I did the task in my morning pages notebook. And then I just either folded down the page or put a Post-it note in there to remind me that the task was in there. So, yeah, it's a good one. Okay, guys, I'll see you in a few minutes in the next video.